All right, so my name is Amanda Kura. I am the Human Development and Relationships Educator from Extension. I'm also a Farmer Angel Network member, and I want to welcome all of you to our December Education and Outreach event, which is the last in our 2020 Farm and Community Online series. But don't worry, it's not our last ever. At the end of our presentation today, I'll talk you through what to anticipate in January and what's coming up in 2021. So thank you for logging on today. I just want to take a quick moment to share a couple of quick reminders for everyone participating today. We do ask that you share any of your experiences that you feel comfortable with in terms of helping others to learn and reach out for help in terms of resources. It helps those engaging today and those who might be watching later on to want to engage in future extension or future Farmer Angel network resources and educational events or activities that we do. So we appreciate that you share as our presenter does their material today and engage in the session. We also encourage you to please share only what you're comfortable with in a public setting. So although we are moving our educational events from in-person to online, we do remind you that this is still a public educational event. These sessions are being recorded, and our intention is to post them to social media sites after the event. And the purpose of doing that is because we want to be able to use these educational outreach sessions to connect with others looking for information regarding the agricultural community, positive mental health, and financial development. And we want to be able to help more in the community connect with the resources they need. So we again, thank you for being part of these educational events and helping us in that mission. If at any time any of us in the Farmer Angel Network that are on this event or the presenter themselves feel that a learner needs additional support or resources, we'll reach out and provide those additional resources post-session. So again, I want to welcome you. Thank you for joining us for this month's topic. Our presenter today is Sue Sharp. She's a life coach and Reiki healer from the Driftless Life Coaching in Richland Center, Wisconsin. Sue is providing her presentation today to everyone who is in attendance and who is interested in this topic. If you didn't receive it in email from me yesterday, just let me know and I will be more than happy to provide it by email, or the Extension office will be happy to provide a hard copy mailed to your address. Just get in contact with me. My phone number and email is on the slide there. I will put it in the chat as well. And again, it will be in the email that you would have received from me yesterday. So don't hesitate to get in contact with me if you need the material. And now I'm going to hand it over to Sue. So welcome, Sue, and thank you for presenting with us today.
Thank you very much for having me. It's very special. Special in that I'm your last presenter for 2020, and I'm going to start with 2020 because 2020 has definitely showed us our truest colors of ourselves, our real metal, like what we're really made of. And it's really pushed the edges of our mental comfort boundary, right? So I think everyone has felt this year in different waves. And it's definitely a year that has come in waves. Like when this all started, we were all so in that sphere of not knowing what was going on. And it just seems like there has been this constant kind of ebb and flow to it. But I will say that I think my topic today is really finding your truest identity. And I think this year has galvanized that in so many people in ways in which if this had not have happened, we wouldn't have come forward in the way that so many of us have, and like kind of connected with what's really, really important in our lives. So I feel a lot of gratitude for this year. And I think maybe some of you can share that too, that this year has definitely come with as much gratitude as it has pain and discomfort. So you guys can all pop in at any time here and please make comments because I'm an interactive person, so we're going to be interactive. So today's topic is called I Am the Farm. And I was thinking about this a while back about how, unlike any other industry, we are special because we were literally born on it, raised to it, grew up in it, worked from it, lived our lives, and had children there. Factory workers, no one was ever born. Well, can't take that true. Maybe some people have been born in a factory, but they don't live there, eat there, work there, do all of their connections there. It's their business there. Farming is really, truly unlike anything else. And I, so I spread my mind out a little bit to try to think about it. But can you guys think of any other industry that is like that? Has anyone discovered any other industry which is like that outside of farming and ranching? I think that makes people really unique, very, very unique in this. So I'm really grateful for that. So I'm going to pop up with a couple of slides here, and I promise I am not going to kill you with slides because I hate death by PowerPoint. So we won't do that. But let's do a little bit of sharing here. All right, is that up for everyone or just for me?
Try it one more time, Sue.
Yeah, let's see here. One more time, come back slides. There we go. Better, there we go. So I just want to welcome you all and all of you very unique personalities. And I've never met any farming family that has not had a million hats. And again, unlike any other family that you can ever be born into, we all have so many different jobs, so many different things that we need to be doing. And when we talk about this identity, that you feel like you are the farm, that things literally can't happen without you being there, it brought me home to a memory. So when I was a kid, I remember sitting at the window, and you know how you kind of just look out through the window. And anyway, I saw him coming down from the barn, and as he's walking down, kind of stops midway and is just staring down at the ground. Not like looking to see if the gate's open or looking to see where people are, or just literally stopped in his tracks and was staring down at the ground. And it was such a weird thing to see, like someone stopping in their tracks when this person is constantly in motion, not only in motion, but half the time talking to themselves as they're going. And to see him stop for that length of time, staring at the ground in the way that he did, just sent me kind of flying out the screen door. And I came around the corner, and I'm like, Grandpa, like, what's going on? Because he never stops moving. And it scared me because he was never a still man. And he just kind of stopped looking at the ground. I think I actually said to him, "Did you drop your gum?" Because he was a gum chewer. And I couldn't imagine why he was doing that. But he stopped and he looked up at me and he just said, "Things are different. I see things different." And what had happened is, just about probably a month prior to that, for the first time in their lives, my grandparents had an opportunity to get off the farm and go to Hawaii. And I think that my mom tells me that he had been 20 years not going more than about 30 miles away from the farm prior to that day, that time. And I had an uncle that had gotten in the military, moved to Hawaii, married a nice Hawaiian girl, and he became senator. And when he became senator, it allowed my grandparents to go to Hawaii. I remember packing them, like between the two of them, they didn't have enough clothes, going some places clothes, like the good town pants. Like they didn't have enough to fill a suitcase. Really, they didn't. But when they came back, the strangest thing I saw was my grandfather in overalls and Hawaiian shirts. He wore overalls and Hawaiian shirts for as long as I can remember after that day. And I know when they buried him, there was a big conversation about, obviously you're going to put him in the overalls, but are you going to put him in a Hawaiian shirt or not? And then in the end, they would. Because what he learned on that trip must have been, it was not only life changing for him, but things could never go back to the same. And nothing on the farm was the same after that. I mean, yeah, but his view was completely different. So what he taught us was everything is not as it appears. You only think it's this way because it's the only lens you've ever had the opportunity to look through. But then some you out in a bigger world or a bigger situation, and suddenly your lens changes. Everything looks different when you come back. So he was really tight, but they had 12 kids and a scratch dirt farm. If you know where Cataract, Wisconsin is, you understand what I say with scratch dirt. There's not a lot of good farming land going on over there. So they really worked hard to live there. But back in the 70s, so I now know how old some of you are. Back in the 70s, the Britannica salesmen came around. Now, I know he shooed every salesman off that even tried to come in, but after going to Hawaii, he let a Britannica salesman come in and he started buying like all the encyclopedias and especially the books with maps. And as a kid, that's now what I latched onto and I remember is he would sit and go through the maps of places for hours and hours. And then he subscribed to National Geographic, which when he died, one of the very few things that he left for grandkids was, I got a collection of National Geographics. Now, if any of you have ever been to an auction or anything, you know how many saved Mother Earth News and National Geographics. Oh my gosh, the volumes that were there. But it just shows like his mind completely changed. He looked at farming after that completely different because while he was in Hawaii, he had a chance to go to a macadamia ranch, sugarcane. He was just going to, so I don't know how much vacationing he did because it sounds like he did a lot of running around to other guys' farms, which is totally typical, right? You don't leave your wheelhouse. You go do what you do. And that was him. He really got back to that and he started looking at his own farm as multiple businesses within the dairy farm. So it wasn't just about milking cows anymore. He learned, that he had a skill as far as the neighbors would go, they would always come to repair things. And that was a tangible skill that he learned in Hawaii that other farmers were using to make a little more money on the farm. So he kind of learned this little segue. And by the time he retired, that was really his thing. I think more people knew him at the end of his life as a guy that could repair like any kind of motor or battery operated thing. But it wasn't until he had gone to Hawaii and saw a whole different way of life that he even began to view his own life. I think really he probably did not even view his own life until he was in his 60s. And then he started asking himself those questions. Who am I and who am I in the larger scheme of the world? So the next slide that I'd like to share with you is about this. So when you say, who am I? Most people will start off right away with their name. That's the easy part, right? I am Sue Sharp. But what else am I? So I have here, I'm a farmer's daughter. I'm a beekeeper. I'm definitely a chicken wrangler. I'm a mom. I'm a Reiki healer. I'm a dreamer. I'm a doer. I'm an independent thinker. I'm a program creator. I'm a social entrepreneur. And I coach people to live their best lives today by discovering their soul's purpose. How about you? I'd like each one of you to just start with what your name is and start your who are you list. Anybody game? I'm going to do a pick. I pick you. Okay, Stacy, I pick you.
All right, so pressure's on. So my name's Stacy. I would say I'm a mother, grandmother. I would say, at the core of me, really, I'm a good person. I have a lot of values that I hold true, to live my life in integrity, to be self-aware. I don't know if I'm going along the right lines here, but to become self-aware for, learning from my past mistakes and make better choices next time. And I would say I'm, a happy mom to 2 dogs. So, yeah, I'm an artist.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
All right, pick someone, Stacy. You get to you throw the dart.
Oh, I'm doing Sean. I'm doing it.
All right. I am a son to a farmer. My parents both farmed for 21 years. And I am a boyfriend to a loving girlfriend. I'm a lover of helping people, and people in general. I feel like if people can hate somebody for no reason, I can love somebody for no reason. So I really enjoy trying to help people as much as I can. And I am thoughtful and I am driven. Want to help farmers as much as possible. So I'm driven to do that.
Beautiful. All right, Sean, throw the dart.
Richard.
I knew it was coming. My uncle's a farmer, so I grew up on his farm, and I farm part-time now. I'm a young father of 2 kids. With my first kid, it taught me a ton, I had a lot of growing up to do that I didn't know about. And I really care a lot for our farmers too, and we all work a part of our care agency. So yeah, I really care for farmers, and that's my story.
All right, thank you. Throw the dart.
We'll go Elena.
Elena's running tech on this call and another call, so she might not be able to.
Maybe Nicole.
Turn all those pieces on. Thanks. I am Nicole Noel. I am a farmer's daughter from both sides of the family, but both have transitioned out of the dairy farming. One is now beef. I am a wife and a stepmom. I am a teacher. I got to take notes as the rest of you went first. Enthusiastic fur baby mom. I am a daughter. Like I said, of those, I am a sister. I am a volunteer in many organizations, and I am passionate about agriculture and educating on it because many people are removed from where their food is coming from. And I like to talk about that process. And then I am living on promptings and teaching others to do the same.
Big one. Throw the dart.
Amanda, are you game?
I'm game. I'm a mother, a sister, a daughter of a veterinarian. So I had a different view of farm life. I am a former social worker, mental health professional. Now I am a community educator. So I see myself as a connector of people in lots of different ways. I see myself as a change maker, and I see myself as someone who is a navigator of mental health systems, so that not only can I understand it for myself, but I can help advocate for other people, and that's something that's really important to me. Let's see, Tanya.
Hi, I'm Tanya, and I'm a Christian. I'm a farmer. I'm a farmer's wife. I'm a daughter. I'm a software consultant, and I'm a volunteer.
Nice. Tanya, you get to throw the dart. Who do we have left? I see Dorothy. Is Dorothy available?
Hi there. So I'm not at home, so my internet's a little slow, so I hope this comes through. I am a woman. I am a daughter, a wife, a mother, a grandmother, a sister. I am a farmer. I am a devoted volunteer to community. I am a change maker, oftentimes. I look to serve in a lot of different capacities. I am a dreamer. I dream big, and I call myself a visionary. That's what I got today.
Good job. All right, Amanda, who else can you see? Is that about everyone?
I think that's everyone I can see.
All right. One more. So the question has been for all of us, if your identity is the farm, what happens to your self-worth when you don't feel like you're connected to that anymore? So I'm going to throw out some examples here. And when you ask, who am I? Now I'm asking it from a different perspective. I want to know, it's kind of that emotional intelligence that you have. So are you someone who's always dreamed about another way that they could live or make money? Or do you worry always about where the money's coming from? Are you someone who is always looking for a challenge or an opportunity? And do you see possibilities or do you see problems? And are you someone who was born on a dairy farm, but you didn't always want to, or it was assumed that you would be? And what will you tell your grandchildren about choices? And I think this is like the heart of everything, right? Because some of you guys are really young here and you're doing this really incredibly hard work. Often it comes generationally to you, right? And I think about how many of you actually made the decision to be farmers because for most of my friends and people I know, by the time they were 16 and could even get a driver's license, they were already so steeped and deep into their commitment of their family's farms that I think the idea to actually think about who they are and what they wanted in the world, that never gets played through your head really often because you're working from the moment you get big enough to carry a bucket, right? We spend a lot of our time already in the position of being someone, right? Being a farmer, being a farmer's kid, that doesn't happen in the bulk of the population. So it's very, very unique to farming that you such a sense of being the farm and being a farmer that you can't identify yourself away from that. So what we're going to work with a little bit today is how to do that. And I have just 5 little simple things that really work for anything. So I will often ask people these same 5 questions. I ask them to just answer them about themselves. And then I'll say, now, answer me this. When you're talking about yourself in your position of work, ask these 5 questions. And if you're looking at it as an entity, you could actually ask these 5 questions of your farm and get answers. So the first question is always the simplest one, what we just did. Who are you? What's your name? Who do you see yourself as? And you all answered that, like who you see yourself as. And you get really clear about it. And for the lucky ones that came at the end, you had a chance to practice, right? Think about more deeply about who you are. The second question that I always ask people to really think about is, what do you do? What do you do so well and you love it that you could teach anyone else in the world how to do this because you love it that much? When we start asking ourselves that question, sometimes the answer changes. So years ago, when for 25 years I worked as a respiratory therapist, and I would hate it when people would ask me that question about what I was or what I did, because I didn't necessarily want to say that, because it was more than that. But I've always been so involved in my community, and I've always kind of felt a soul of service. Like, I strongly connected with helping my patients in such a way that I saw that so much of the things that drove them to the hospital had little to do with physical health, but had everything to do with their mental health. And I got drawn into that more and more and more every year, that if we can actually help people with how they feel internally, we can change the game and how they are externally in their lives. And when we can start adjusting that knob of how good they feel about themselves, we can really now hone into the truth, which is them. So our next question is, who do you do it for? So I can even, like, Amanda, who do you do your job for? Who are the people that you serve? Can you think about how that might be answered for you?
Who do I do it for? Well, probably on a very basic level, I think about my son and the kind of world I want him to grow up in. The kind of, I want to model, at first I want to model, I want to be that good role model for him. And then I want to create other good environments for him and have good, so by being a good influence, and have other good places, like by making sure he has a good community. And that means influencing the community that we live in.
Yeah. And was it Sean? Is that right?
Yes, Sean.
Sean, what could you do? What's something that you really love to do that you could teach someone else how to do?
Well, I love helping people and I love helping people learn. I substitute teach also. So I could help people better understand concepts, and then just understand how to help somebody by sitting with them and really listening to what they're saying and validating,
Yeah.
their thoughts and feelings.
So then that comes up that next question, who do you do it for?
For the I love helping people, so I do it for others to get to a better place. I like to help people grow.
Yeah, and I love that because it all comes from the soul of service. And when we start looking at how we do our lives from the perspective of how I could make someone else's life better or more enriched, we start seeing our own lives in a whole different view with a whole different lens. And when you meet someone who feels a bit down or they feel like they're at the end of something because nothing is working for them or it's not going right or the money's not coming, the opportunities are super limited. If you can ever be with that person and find something that they're particularly good at and help them develop that thing, even if they're just really great at playing guitar, but they're not, the guitar playing's not their life. They'll say, no, 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 no. Like I'm a cropper. That's me. I'm doing field work 90% of my life. Yeah, but what do you love? Like you love your guitar. You love playing that guitar. What if you could teach a few people? Once you start looking at your life as not just about you, but about something that's much bigger. And I think that's what happens is when we get in that spin cycle of we're not doing so well or feeling so well, we're feeling an awful lot about ourselves. We're thinking a lot about how it affects us. And we need to really be stepping out of that and having people step in when you see that happening to show that there's so much more and you're so much bigger than what you think you are right now. And you get down in that bucket and you can't see anything but the swirl on the bottom until you start looking up. And maybe you need somebody to grab a hold of you and pull you up so you can be above water and you can start seeing how much bigger life is for you. So then the next part of this is, what do those people need or want? So in anything that you're doing in life, what is the thing that people need or want? So some people, they just need to know that someone else cares. If you're talking about it from a service industry kind of thing, what does your client need or want? Deep down inside, what is that thing that they need or want from you? Because when you can help fulfill what they need or want, create this greater connection. And that greater connection then, and it's always about people and it's always about being connected and never being alone. So find out what that need or want is. And then the last question is, what do they get out of it as a result of what you taught them? Does it give them a bigger vision? Did they grow? Did you teach them how to do a skill in which they can take out into the world and become a better person for it? The reason why I love these particular 5 questions, as I said, you can apply it to just about any part of your life, any part of your business, or any part of an entity and ask those same 5 questions. That's how you get really clear on what your purpose is or what the purpose of your business is. So Dorothy, I'm going to pick on you just for a second because With the B&B, we can actually use this in the same way, right? We can
Right.
ask, who am I with this business? What does your business provide for others? What do they want? And then the results. What kind of thing do you think that people walk away with after having a farm stay?
You know, and I can see a little bit because you and I have talked about this. Um, you know, I have always felt that we have been blessed by our life on the farm. We have abundant blessings. And as I host different guests that's come to our farm, and I'm always amazed at the different stories that bring people to my doorstep. But during a stay at our farm, we can share those blessings. And oftentimes, by the time they leave, I find that they have been blessed in ways that I never ever expected by their experience by staying at our farm. And yeah, you know, as I kind of look at that, it's what we've, like I said, what we've been blessed with, and how those blessings can be passed on to the people who stay with us. Just a a quick story during COVID. Obviously, it's been a challenge for a lot of folks, but when I know that a guest tells me that this is my first escape from the concrete canyon that I've been living in Chicago for since February, and how therapeutic it was just to get out into the countryside. You really get to experience and feel how they are being blessed.
Yes. And that's something that I want to strike out to all of you. I live over by Richland Center. And when I first moved up on the ridge, there were many feral farms. And now there's almost none. They have actually been bought up. And don't laugh, but I'm going to say this. The yuppie Panagodian wearing jacket, you know, the trust fund kids, they have bought a lot of property. But I love their heart, because what they want to do is they want to come back to a place of connection. They want to feel like they belong to something. They want a greater purpose. They have been doing some pretty amazing things with a little bit of land and the desire to do something different. And they are actually, many of them live in pretty scratch, right? But they have decided that this is the path that they would rather take. And I think that we all in this group, and you guys know this, we are blessed in a way that many, many people aren't. Throughout COVID, especially for those of you that own property, how hard has it been for you? You're still doing your life, right? You're still getting up in the morning, you're still doing your job. You can go out and walk around and you can be in nature, which think of how many people can't even do that. You know, you connect with yourself at a very natural base. Like for me, there's nothing better than walking through the woods. Like I won't give up walking through the woods for anything. I get my best inspiration. I feel literally like sometimes the top of my head lifts off and I just get so much thought download that by the time I get home, I need to write it down, because it can be such great ideas that I need to actually put into practice. We're fortunate. We're very, very fortunate. So even though sometimes our lives are really steeped in a lot of struggle and we have to be extremely creative, we have to be really creative sometimes to figure out how to manage to make all of the ends meet. But it gives us an opportunity to be bigger visionary lookers. And Stacy and all of you, I've heard you all say that. You have vision and you dream. And I think that that is something that's very hard to do. When I spent some time in New York, I didn't feel like you even room to breathe. let alone to think in big, expansive ways. And several people that I've worked with recently have discovered, because I always recommend doing some journaling, that they're really pretty good writers. But it comes from that spot of the appreciation and understanding struggle and the pain of struggle. Also understanding that with struggle gives you opportunity. With opportunity, you get change. And when you have change and all of that, you feel hope. And hope will rise you above everything if you have hope. And I think that's what we all need to do, because everyone here is that kind of a soul of service person. Presenting people with hope, that's the thread. That is a thread that can actually pull you through as long as you have hope. That I want to encourage you all to do. To take a look at these 5 different steps and to realize that you can put that into practice anywhere in your life. And it gives you hope for the next thing that you're going to do. It is the force that moves us all really forward. So I'm wondering, does any of you are willing to share, like, what do you think that the biggest thing that one person can do for another person? Anybody want to shout out on that? What's the one thing that any one person can do for another person? It's sometimes just as simple as acknowledging another person's presence, right? How many of you play the game where you go to the grocery store and you make eye contact with the clerk? You know, you're just like, hey, how you doing? How's your day? You know, that kind of small chit chat. You know, that tiny little small chit chat might be the nicest thing anyone says to them in that day. And, you know, when I did home care and I met with a lot of patients in their home, a lot of them lived out in the middle of the country, and maybe I was the only person they were going to see for the next 4 or 5 days. That's isolation, and that's, you understand that kind of isolation too, because when you're working on the farm and you're doing your thing, you can feel that sense of isolation as, you know, I'm the only person here to do this thing right today, right? Like, it's got to be about me, it's got to be about me. And what happens if? So the what happens if game looks like, so if, let's just say the tractor breaks down. Pretty much you might have a fallback tractor, right? Or as somebody down the road does. So, okay, you can fix that problem. If the chain goes out on a feeder, yeah, that can happen, and you can either fix it or you can, I don't know, do the bucket method, you know, and go back to doing a bucket method, right? There's ways that you can still make your business work. But what happens if you're not taking care of you and you come out of the equation? That's where things kind of go when we come out of the equation. So we need to remember that these 5 things are really important for us. We all play such a big factor in everything, but we need to connect with people in a real strong and genuine way. And I'm going to show you my last couple of slides because it tells me my battery is dying and I didn't bring a cord. The universe is working with me. All right, so the last couple of slides are really just about me. When it comes to people in farm, if you ever have a need, please reach out to me. I will see anybody at any time at no cost if they are struggling. I do not ever want to hear that somebody struggled and I was around and could not help in some sort of a way. So please do that. I love speaking to groups and I'm always available to listen to anyone. So this is my contact information. And again, really sorry about it. As I try to plan for everything, I brought 3 different devices, but left the plug-in for this one at home. Does anyone have any questions? No, no, and
I
no?
appreciate your thoughts and insight, Sue. I think that you know, I grew up, I didn't grow up in farming. My grandma lived on a farm her whole life. So I was the weekend grandchild to go there and have fun. That's the
Did they call you city kid too?
No, they didn't. No, they didn't do that. They called me, actually, thank God I'm a country girl. That's what they used to call me, the country girl. So, but I didn't see the hardships, because I went there as a child. This was fun for me. So, and it wasn't, and I think I was telling Sean this yesterday, it wasn't until my grandma was dying of throat cancer that she shared some of the hardships, for her. When she said, "How's your day?" and you started complaining about it, she'd say, "Well, that's not what I asked you." And I'm like, "You just asked how my day was." She wanted to hear the response, "Your day's good. I'm good. I'm fine." Because that's the way she's always been raised, to say everything's fine, even if it wasn't. But it wasn't until she's 91 years old, few months before she died, that she sat down with me telling me how hard certain times in her life were. Sometimes I always wondered if the cancer wasn't stuck in her throat somehow, that she couldn't speak the truth about maybe the pain of some of those times in her life, and wearing that armor of strength all the time can wear on you. So I don't really have that, but I could really identify with a lot of things you were saying, especially I had a painting business for years and I was very attached and identified to it. I liked the money it gave me. I liked the car I was driving, and I'm so glad I don't do it anymore, because all of that left. It took about 7 years for me to detox from it. You know what I mean? Because I was chasing after to get it back. And it's helpful to hear, my identity was too tied to it. It needed to go. So other things could come in that were more meaningful.
Well, and what you said, right. You talked about the throat cancer and stuff. I thought about what you just said right away, because, we have energy points in our body, and our throat, if your throat chakra can't open and say what it needs to, it's kind of like having your heart chakra be blocked.
Yep.
And you get heart problems.
Yeah.
So
I do therapy too, and hypnosis. So I'm all about the chakra. So I was too going with that with my grandma. I'm like, oh, her throat chakra is probably blocked,
yeah.
But you don't tell that to someone 91 at this point. You just let her speak,
Oh.
So I wanted to just share some of the comments that were in the chat along the lines of how we show up for people, letting them know that we're there for them, giving them hope, loving them right where they are, and then listening to them non-judgmentally were some of the comments that were shared about how we show up for people. Were there any other questions or comments for Sue?
I think people are, especially farmers, are super resilient and gritty, and the deck is kind of stacked against them. So if you can help them understand, hope we lost Sue.
Oh, there. She just tried to get back in, so hopefully we'll get her back in here.
I think if you can help them understand how tough they really are and strong they are to get to where they've gotten, it can really put things in perspective. And there's actually a quote that I really like. No one escapes pain, fear, and suffering, yet from pain can come wisdom, from fear can come courage, from suffering can come strength, if we have the virtue of resilience. So I think it ties back into that, where farmers are really resilient, and sometimes in people in general, especially at this time, you have to be. And helping to help them see that can really help them through this process, how strong and tough they really are.
That was really great
And
insight.
just that whole reaching out.
That was excellent. Thank you. All right. I just wanted to let everybody know about the January 13th. So 2021 will be starting off on January 13th at 1 o'clock. We'll be doing financials on the farm. We'll be having Peggy Olive from the financial security team talk to us about a little bit about some financial money management skills. And we'll also be having a presenter from DATCAP talk about protecting our money and some preventative things that we can do before we get into those really difficult times, that we don't have to just reach out to DATCAP once things get really, really intense and difficult, that they do have some preventative resources that we can utilize ahead of time. So again, financials on the farm, January 13th, 2021 at 1 o'clock. The link to register for that program is there on the slide. I will put it in the chat as well so that everyone can go ahead and get access to that. If there are any other questions for Sue, we'll hang out for another minute or two here. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording here. Thank you again to Sue for her presentation today, and thank you to all of you for registering, and we hope to see you on future education events in 2021.